Okay, hello. This is video 2 of assignment 8. So let's get started. I have my assignment 8 source code. So I just took that off of Canvas, my assignment 8 source code and my assignment 8 input file. So this is my vegetables.txt input file and my source code file. And now I'm in my IDE and I'm going to get started working on the code. So I also have opened up my complete code here, I hope. So I can copy and paste some stuff in there so you guys don't have to watch me type so much. All right, so let's get started. So the first step is as you see, there is so much code here. So the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to remove most of this code. I'm going to remove all of these function definitions below main because we're going to focus on the class part first. So I'm going to remove all of the function definitions that are below main here. And I'm going to keep my main function, but I'm going to remove all of those definitions except for the two friend function definitions. So these are my two friend function definitions right here. All of the other function definitions have been removed. We're not going to do a list of veggies yet. We will eventually, but we're not going to do that right away. And we're actually not even going to do this menu or anything yet. So I'm just going to comment all of this out. I could delete it, but I'm just going to comment it out because we want to focus first on doing our class. So get rid of all of these non-member prototypes. And let's just focus first on making sure our class works as expected. So as the instructions say, we need to have a class declaration. So it needs to have I have my default constructor, I have my explicit value constructor, I have my 5 private member variables, I have my accessor and mutator functions. Now I'm going to pretend that I have not yet created that function yet or the friend functions. The first function I'm going to add is the display function. So I'm going to do one function at a time. So the calculate profit function I haven't implemented yet, but the display function I will implement, and my friend functions I'm going to add one at a time in this video right here. So ultimately you want to get this, before you even want to manage an array of objects, you want to just make sure that you're managing one object or two objects. So we're going to work on that. We're also going to work on connecting to the file. But first, let's get our class going. So we get our class going. So again, now it's much more manageable. We don't have so much code. We have our class declaration here. The only extra function we have at the moment is the display function. So we have our default constructor, explicit value constructor, accessor and mutator functions, and the display function. This is my display function. Down here are my function definitions or my implementation of my member functions, my default constructor, my explicit value constructor, my implementation for my accessor and mutator functions, which you should have already done. And my display function is just going to display the information about one object. So I'm choosing to display the name, the color, and the price per pound and the ID. And this is so that I print, because I'm doing price per pound, I want to print to 2 decimal places. So what I want to do here is make sure that that works. So I'm just going to declare one object of type vegetable. That should call my default constructor. And then I'm going to call my display function. Oh, I'm going to call my display function. So I have one vegetable. This should call the default constructor, and then it's going to display. And I want to make sure that this works. So I'm going to build it and run it and make sure that it works as expected. Okay, so you will see here that it does display my empty vegetable, but if I want to see if if it works, with a vegetable with information, I could try out my explicit value constructor. So let's just look at the order. It goes name, color, ID, cost, price. So I can just pass in carrot, orange, ID 100, 80 cents, and $1.10. Okay, so this I'm going to declare a vegetable of, and when it calls the explicit value constructor, I pass it the name, the color, an ID, the cost, and the price. It should call my explicit value constructor. Oh, I forgot the comma here. Okay, try again. Okay, so now you can see it called the explicit value constructor. The ID is 100, it's a carrot, it's orange. So it's working as expected. So the display now, once I feel confident that my display function is working as expected, I can move on to my next functions and test that those work. So I'm going to test now my uh, calculate profit function. So my calculate profit function, in order for my calculate profit function to work here, this is my implementation. Then I just go up here to my declaration and I have my prototype. So let's look at how my uh, calculate profit function works. You're going to pass it some value for the number of pounds, and then it's going to return the profit of that vegetable. So my vegetable, which is a carrot, it costs 80 cents. So the profit on 1 pound should be 30 cents. So if I do the profit on 5 pounds, it should be uh, 30 cents times 5, which is $1.50, right? Anyway, we'll see if it does it right. All right, so what I need to do is I'm going to just see out because it's going to print it onto the screen. The profit is uh, V1 dot calculate profit, and I'm going to pass 5 pounds. So if it goes in there, it's going to take the 5 pounds, it's going to subtract $1.10 minus 80 cents and multiply that times 5. And for some reason, I can't do basic math anymore. It's horrible. So we will take a look at it and then we will decide if we think that it's working as expected. All right, so the profit is 150. So it's printing 1.5 because I didn't say how to print it. So if I wanted it to, obviously if I wanted it to print to 2 decimal places, I just add that here. And if I wanted it to put the $sign, I just add the $sign here. So now the profit is $1.50. So now I feel confident that my display function is working as expected, and also that my um, calculate profit function is working as expected. So now it's time to move on to my two friend functions. Again, I'm already using my same vegetable class. I have my declaration up here. I have my member functions, and I have my two friend functions. My first friend function is overloading the um, subtraction operator, and my second friend function is overloading the less than operator. So let's go down and take a look at my two friend functions. The other two functions I have is the calculate profit function and the display function. And you can see here that I have made my calculate profit function very simple. You don't need to do some kind of complicated thing. The idea is to understand how to do a member function. So if you make your member function do something really complicated, you're going to focus more on the complicated thing that you're trying to do than the class development process. And my display function is also working as expected. So now I just have these two additional friend functions. So let's go down here and take a look at the implementation. So the first implementation is that this friend function is going to take in two objects of type vegetable, and it's going to return the price per pound of the first vegetable minus the price per pound of the second vegetable. So to test the subtraction operator, and please go and review friend functions, to do the operator, I'm just going to have two vegetables, and it's going to calculate the difference in their price per pound. So I'm going to need to use my explicit value constructor again to create another. So calculate profit I feel confident about, so I can move on. Again, I'm just developing one thing at a time and make sure that it's worked, because when I start to add all of these features, if I already know that my display is working and I already know that my calculate profit is working and my friend functions are working, then I can move on and start working on managing my list. Don't try to do everything at once. So now I'm going to have my second vegetable, which is going to be beans, and it'll be green, and it will have, its ID will be 200. We want to have a different ID. And we want the cost to be different, so the cost will be 45 cents, and the selling price will be $2. So now if this works as expected and I subtract one from the other, it should be either negative 90 cents or 90 cents. So I can just see out V1 minus V2. So this is my overloaded subtraction operator. It will take the price of V1, which is $1.10, and subtract the price of V2. So I could give myself, a little, the difference is, so that way I'm giving some information here and add some new lines to make sure. Now I also have removed this. So maybe I want to put it back here for this. I don't need to display because I know that that's working. So now I'm just testing my friend function to make sure that it works as expected. So let's also put an end line here. All right, let's see if it works. It should be negative 90 cents if it works as expected. And it does. The difference is 90 cents. Now, I don't need to be printing this. That's just printing that it's calling the explicit value constructor. And now I can try it by subtracting V1 from V2. So this should not be a negative value. Okay, so I'm confident now that that friend function is working. So now I need to test my other friend function. My other friend function is going to compare. It compares their prices and it returns true if the price of V1 is less than the price of V2. So how would I test that? I could say if V1 is less than V2, then I could see out the price of V1 is less. Again, this is not my complete program. This is just testing my functions to make sure that they work as expected. So I don't need to do a lot to do that. Okay, so the price of V2 is less. So if V1 is less than V2, and now I'm going to change it, so V1 will be $3. So it should print the price of V2 is less because I changed the price of V1 to $3 and V2 is $2, just to change it up and test it and see if it works as expected. Okay, the price of V2 is less. That is true. If I change this back, it should print the price of V1 is less. Okay, so I'm very satisfied uh, that my implementation of my class is working as expected. I feel confident that I have my friend function implementation down here below main. I have my class declaration up here we'll just go through this really quick. Don't forget to put your name, date, and describe your class and what your program does. We have our preprocessor directives here. I'm not really sure what we will need numeric limits for. I don't think that we need it for anything in this program, but for some reason it's on there. And we have our class declaration, which includes our two constructors, our mutator functions, our accessor functions, our two member functions, one to calculate the profit or whatever you're going to be doing, the other one to display one object, our two prototypes for our friend functions, our private member variables, and then down here we start with our implementation, default constructor, explicit value constructor, accessor and mutator function definitions, our two member function definitions, our main function, which is the driver where we just tested to make sure everything worked as expected. So the next step will be to do the array, which I'm going to do in the next video. And we have our function definitions for our friend functions. So in the next video, we will start working with our array of objects.